So today, I'm going to be reviewing the Superhuman Bandit II electric bike, which is Superhuman's throwback Moto style e-bike. I'm going to be going over the details, build, geometry, do an acceleration test, a braking test, a range test, and a review on how this bike rides. But before we get into the tests themselves, let's go over the basics of the Bandit II. So the Bandit II is a Class 3 electric bike that has a retro Moto design and is made of 6061 aircraft grade aluminum. The Bandit II only has one frame size that's designed to fit people from 5'5" to 6'4". Powering the bike is a Bafang 48 volt 750 watt rear hub motor that provides 80 Nm of torque and has 5 levels of pedal assist up to speeds of 25 miles per hour. The battery is a 48 volt 840 watt hour removable lithium ion battery that weighs 8.3 pounds. There's also a simple LCD smart display that shows the speed, pedal assist level, battery life, and odometer. It comes with 20-inch Kenda tires with a 4.25-inch width on mag aluminum wheels. There's a Shimano Altus 7-speed drivetrain with a 28-tooth cassette and a 52-tooth chainring. The Bandit II also comes with Tektro mechanical disc brakes with 180mm rotors both in the front and in the rear. The handlebars are 6-inch riser BMX style bars with a 760mm width. So the Bandit II comes with a wheelbase of 44.5 inches, an overall length of 65 inches, the reach is 17.9 inches, the standover height is 29.5 inches, a seat height of 32 inches, and the bottom bracket height is 12 inches. It also comes with a rear coil shock with 60mm of travel and a fork with 60mm of travel as well. The Bandit II weighs into 88 pounds. It has a rated weight capacity of 275 pounds and has numerous accessories, with my test bike coming with the passenger pegs, which I think is a must for this bike. For safety, there's a 600 lumen LED headlight with a 5-inch diameter and a rear light that activates when the headlight is turned on. So when it comes to a bike design like the Bandit II, these types of bikes don't actually pedal that well. These bikes are made to be used more like electric motorcycle, we're using mostly the throttle. Now I did do some testing while pedaling, and the Bandit II is okay to pedal with, but for the majority of my testing, I use only the throttle, just like the bike is intended for. So one of the best things about this bike was the comfort. The seat is a Moto style seat that's about 24 inches long and 6 inches wide, and it has a ton of cushioning. And on top of that, there's the rear shock with the coil and 60mm of travel that does a really good job of smoothing out imperfections in the road and big bumps. But the fork actually impressed me more with its 60mm of travel, smooth ride, and ability to handle big bumps and dropping off curbs. Which brings us to the power of the Bandit II, which is powered by a 750 watt rear hub motor that provides very good power and good grunt to get the bike up to speed fairly quickly. So while I really enjoyed riding the bike around, I decided to do some tests on the Bandit II for 3 areas I think are really important: acceleration, braking, and a cruising/range test. So the first test I did was acceleration test, only using the throttle. With this bike being at home using only the throttle, I wanted to see how long it'd take to get the top speed of 25 miles an hour. So let's see how it went.
Acceleration test to the top speed of 25 miles an hour, using only the throttle. Ready, and go. 10, 15, 20, 25.
So as you can tell, the Bandit II did a really good job in the acceleration test. It took 4.9 seconds to get to 10 miles an hour, 6.6 seconds to 15 miles per hour, 8.8 seconds to 20 miles per hour, and 12.9 seconds to the top speed of 25 miles per hour. Next was the braking test, which I first wanted to do from 8 miles per hour. Now you're probably wondering why 8 miles per hour specifically. Let's be real, the Bandit II is made for cruising, especially at the beach and up and down the boardwalk. Here in San Diego, the top speed allowed on the boardwalk is 8 miles per hour. So I wanted to see if you're riding this bike on the boardwalk, how long it would take to stop quickly if you needed to. So back to the test. So stopping from 8 miles per hour to 0, the Bandit II stopped in 3.5 feet. Next, I stopped the Bandit II from its top speed at 25 miles per hour, which it did an incredibly impressive 20 feet, especially considering the weight of this bike and that these are mechanical disc brakes. So now that I tested the acceleration and braking, I want to test out the Bandit II and what it was really designed for, cruising on the coast. So for this test, I decided to ride along the beautiful bikeway in Coronado, California. And since this bike is designed for using a throttle, I only use the throttle on this test. My plan for this ride was just to try to maintain speed with the rest of the bike traffic, and just cruise and enjoy my ride. Now I know that some people would argue that I should be riding at the top speed of 25 miles per hour, but I don't want to be one of those guys going 25 in a bike lane while everyone around me is doing 12 to 15 miles per hour. Because of that, I really stayed between 14 and 18 miles per hour with short stints of going 25 miles an hour when there was a clear road ahead of me. The weird part about cruising down the Strand is I didn't actually feel like I was on a bicycle. I felt like I was on my Honda Grom. Everything from only using the throttle, to the seating position, to the reach, and mostly the fun factor. The Bandit II just oozes personality. And while riding, there was a lot of people turning their head just to check out the bike. After about 8 miles or so, I made it to the beautiful city of Coronado, California, with its big multi-million-dollar mansions, sprawling golf courses, crowds of people enjoying the Hotel del Coronado, the legendary beaches, and the absolutely stunning weather. After a few more miles, we got to the ferry landing to get some lunch, but it was a little too crowded that day, and my family and I didn't feel like waiting for lunch, so we turned around and gunned it back to the truck. So something to note, at this point in the ride, we did about 10 miles or so, and I had 4 out of 5 batteries on the battery left. So on the way back, the plan wasn't to go as slowly as we did going into Coronado. This is for 2 reasons. 1, we were hungry and wanted to get some lunch, and 2, there was much less bikes on the way back, so it allowed us to go faster. So after 20.03 miles and about 161 feet of climbing, we made it back to the truck. It only taken me about an hour and a half to do the ride, and the bike battery level was somewhere between 2 and 3 bars, which means that the bike still had between 40 and 50% battery left. And based on this route, I would have been able to get between 30 and 40 miles of range, which I think is pretty impressive. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised by the Bandit II, and I absolutely love e-bikes with the retro Moto style. I know that these bikes are flawed when it comes to pedaling, and that they're intended to be used with throttles. And while I understand this would bother some people, it doesn't bother me at all. I've ridden a lot of bikes in my lifetime. Everything from road bikes, mini e-bikes, folding e-bikes, and even prototype carbon fiber electric mountain bikes. And I can say without a hesitation that the Bandit II is one of the funnest bikes I've ever ridden. It's comfortable, well made, has incredible stopping power, great range, and I think it's a steal. And the crazy part is, the Bandit II retails for only $1,749, which I think is a great deal for a full suspension throwback Moto style e-bike. But at the time of this recording, it's on sale for only $1,500, which to me makes it a no-brainer. But something I really haven't touched upon during this video is that when equipped with the passenger pegs, this bike is a hoot to ride with someone else. I was able to put a lot of miles on this bike with my daughter riding as a passenger, and the bike still had enough power to pull us both along pretty easily. Now, is there anything I would change about this bike? I do have a couple things. First, since this bike works best while only using the throttle, I'd get rid of the 7-speed drivetrain. And the last thing I would do is make the passenger pegs as a feature instead of an accessory. But none of these items are anything close to a deal breaker, and I absolutely adore this bike. But if you have any questions or have a Bandit II yourself, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great one.